Hallo, Servus, habe ich die Ehre? Oder wenn Sie in Österreich wären, habe ich die Ehre? Welcome, Deutschstudenten, to this brief tutorial about accusative case prepositions. In my short welcome, I use the phrase habe ich die Ehre, as well as the Austrian dialect version of it, habe ich die Ehre. This nice little question slash phrase translates as do I have the honor, which is somewhat of a shortened version of mit wem habe ich die Ehre, or with whom do I have the honor or privilege of speaking. Very old-fashioned, but also a very polite way to start a conversation with someone. I learned the Austrian dialect version during my time living and working in Austria, a beautiful place if you ever have the chance. Now back to the accusative prepositions. In German, when these 5 prepositions are used in a sentence, the noun or pronoun object that follows them appears in the accusative case. So these prepositions are durch, ohne, gegen, für, and An old professor taught me the acronym DOG-FOO, which kind of sounds like dog food and hopefully helps you remember just as it did and continues to for me. The next slide will show how these can be used in a sentence. Let's have a look. Starting with durch, which means through, wir fahren durch die Stadt. Okay? Or ich gehe heute durch den Wald spazieren. The first example means we're driving through the city, and the second means I'm going for a walk through the forest. Notice in the first example, the object of the preposition is die Stadt. And if you recall from week 2's content on the accusative case, the feminine gender does not change in the accusative. However, in the second example, the object of the preposition is den Wald, the forest. This does change from der Wald to den Wald, as it is masculine. Moving on, we have ich gehe ohne meinen Bruder spazieren and ich gehe ohne ihn spazieren. As you can see, these mean I'm going for a walk without my brother and I'm going for a walk without him, respectively. Meinen Bruder, the word meinen, as you can see, comes from mein, and is a possessive adjective, which will be covered more in depth in week 4's content, but it's still good to introduce this to you as a preview. Our next example shows how this preposition gegen has 2 meanings. Meine Mutter ist gegen die Reise. Here my mother is against this trip, shows that gegen means against. Whereas wir fahren gegen 4 Uhr ins Restaurant. Gegen in this instance means around in a temporal sense. We're going to the restaurant around 4 o'clock. Think of gegen in this instance as the American English version of ish when talking about time. It's not exactly 4 p.m., but rather 4 p.m. or 4-ish. Für as a preposition. Hier ist ein Brief für dich, Stefan, sounds similar to the English for. Just as it is in this example, here's a letter for you, Stefan. Let's shift to the last example, which also has 2 meanings. Der Film beginnt 19 Uhr. Okay? Unlike gegen, which means around or ish in terms of time, when using for the time, you are talking about the exact time. The movie begins at 7 p.m. Can also be used when describing spatial examples. Die Bibliothek ist die Ecke, okay, which here means around. The library is around the corner. I could also say wir fahren die Stadt. We're driving around the city. So that concludes this tutorial on accusative prepositions. Please contact me if you have any questions. Danke.